what I'm doing now is I'm going to be reaching out to all the channels / creators that I want to get in contact with, and I want to kind of broadcast and let other people know, like, hey, I find this channel useful and I got a lot of great information from this channel. So that's what the whole segment in my live stream was, right? To highlight other creators. So now I'm doing it in the podcast form. And right now we are recording the first ever episode of C.I.T.Y.S.G.A.W, channels that I think you should go and watch, or creators that I think you should go and watch. So this way it's not just going to be, closed down to a particular type of creator, and it allows it to just blossom and go wherever it may. So I'm having fun with it. Plus we're using all of this amazing technology, which is what I have fun with. So in the end of the day, what I'm doing is I just want to keep it kind of not formal, right? And just hang out for an hour with people that I also want to get to know more of. Because at the end of the day, I do know you, right? I know you, Doc Rock. Maybe some of the people who are not listening are not aware of you. They will after this episode. But there's also a lot of creators that I know just as a spectator, right? From the outside view of just watching their content, which now I want to reach out and just get them on the podcast to get to know them a little bit more as they are, right? And give the Camera Junkie crew that same type of insight on who these people are, who they are behind the scenes. So with that being said, for those people who don't know who you are, who is Doc Rock a little bit behind the scenes?
That's a good question. I'm me. No, look, I'm a very practical person who likes to demystify tech by putting it in practical perspective. I think so many people see something tech oriented and automatically label it tech, and then they call it scary, and then they shut down and they have like a visceral reaction. And I mean, like, people that palms actually get sweaty. Spaghetti on my sweater already. Sorry, never mind. People that get palm sweaty when they start thinking about having to do something to do with tech. And I like to think of it as, I know you can't help it because somebody else told you that tech was difficult. There's people who haven't put more than 10% effort into tech, but have heard enough people around them say that it's scary that they process it as scary. It's like, how old were you when you grabbed the side of the mattress and leaned under the bed and looked for yourself? And then you was like, man, moms was lying. Most kids make it to like 7 or 8 years old before they finally look under the bed and be like, ain't nothing under the dang bed. I'll be bad if I want to. So I like to do that with tech. Like, how can I put it in a common sense method to make you stop freaking out over something that cannot possibly harm you? So yeah, that's the best way to explain it.
That's so true because, when it comes to tech, I like to tinker, right? So I'm constantly in this form of evolution and ways of making it better. But the fun that I have with tech is the tinkering around, and it's kind of like making mistakes. It's like a puzzle that you don't even know you're solving, and you're just trying to like bump up and be like, oh, can't do that. So you take a couple steps back and you find a different way. So that's the way that I have a lot of fun with tech. But now on a personal side, right, who is Doc Rock, the one that we don't see on camera, right? Like, tell us a little bit more about your background. I guess a little bit more about who makes the Doc Rock that we see on camera, the educational drill sergeants type, right? What tell us a little bit more about your upbringing, your background.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm exactly the same off camera. I just want to make things better at all costs, right? I just, I don't know. I guess when you grow up as a hood rat, you don't have a lot of stuff, but we learned to make do with what we had, and
Mm-hmm.
then so in being able to just have grandpa, mom, dad, grandma, they all like whatever kind of scraps we had, whether it was food, clothes, materials, whatever, we found a way to put things together and have fun with whatever we had. And
I
so i
agree.
think i think that formulated a large portion of my being, and it made me always want to make stuff better because that was something that we always did, right? um
Mm-hmm.
I think that just because we didn't have a fancy house didn't mean we couldn't have a clean and organized house. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you had to you had to respect that G Wagon like it was a Cadillac. That thing,
that's
you
true.
know, you had the bumper held on with duct tape or whatever, but hey, it's gonna be everything else is spotless. The chrome will still be polished except the part where the tape is holding the bumper on until you can get it fixed. So I think it's maybe the concept of making the most out of what you have, never letting that stop you, having a just get it done mentality, having a no fear mentality. A lot of that came from upbringing. The other half of that came from military. And I don't see fear don't do you any good. I just don't get it. Like I really don't understand. It serves no purpose, but people will adopt the living heck out of it. And I think the thing that's funny about it is 90% of the fears we have were taught to us by somebody else. A lot of them aren't
Mhm.
self-directed, right? And so I try in my daily life to pop the bubbles of limiting beliefs. And I think my channel is about popping the bubbles of limiting beliefs. And I'm just a straightforward, practical guy. Like I am black and white, lights are on or lights are off. There's not a lot of in between. Um, I don't believe this is weird. This is a weird thing to say. I don't believe in going counterculture for counterculture's sake. In other words, I don't believe in calling this red just because I feel like it. But in the same token, I don't believe in calling this blue just because everybody else is calling it blue, right? It's going to get an official name. It's going to be the actual factual name. For me, it's going to be this is Pantone C72 because it's exactly what it is. You know what I mean? And we're like, oh, that kind of one little blue that you see everywhere. No, it's Pantone C72 or 72C, however you want to say it. Either one of those is acceptable. But I'm not going to let you get away with calling, regular blue. No such thing as regular blue, fool. What's regular blue? You know what I mean? Let's come back. What is it? What is the hex code? Uh RGB 000FF. That one. That's the one. All right, now we're talking, right? So I am practical in the sense of knowing what the proper nomenclature is and why it should be that way and what the reasons why, and there's a reason for everything. But I'm not going to just go counterculture for counterculture's sake, and I'm not going to just toe the line. I'm going to work in reality at all given costs, and that's just me. And I know for a fact that automatically takes me off the table for a lot of people because all they want the person on the screen to do is verify their excuses and make them feel good with their excuse. And then they have a good reason to keep doing. So people get really mad at me for there's no such thing as burnout. There's clinical burnout, but I don't know about creator burnout. Y'all made that up. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all
I
made that
fall
up.
into that camp.
Huh?
That I fall into that same camp that if you're really doing something that you love, then you're just doing it all the time.
Yep. Yep.
Right? There is really no off switch to something that I love to do.
Yep.
So
Like
when
there's
people,
definitely a moment where you have to pause and catch your breath and you're like, dang it, Aiden. But for the most part, you love being there and and
oh,
and, and taking
absolutely.
care of him. Right. So
Hmm.
like people misconstrue those moments of bro. I literally just cleaned this mess. And they
Oh
take
my.
that for, yeah, well, he must have did it just before, huh? they,
Yeah.
they take that for the whole house just melted. No, bro. The whole house didn't just melt. And I heard somebody say this the other day, and I thought it was the greatest thing. We went live and we turned it off, and nobody died. But if you ask
Yeah.
people before the stream, like, they think they're going to lose everything. So, yeah, I think it's kind of weird because the question should be simple, but I am exactly who I am. I don't change much because it's hard to maintain. So I think that's another reason why I don't get burnt out because I'm not faking the funk. Like, this is me. I don't have to do it to show up. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to prep. I don't have to practice. I don't have to use my radio voice. Hey, Mr. Camera Junkie, welcome to the show. Like, nah, fam. I get the same idiot 24/7. That's me. This is just it.
And you know what? That's kind of what I want this show to be as well, because I don't want to be this overly prep thing. I want to keep it like as natural as possible. So now, with that being said, I guess a better question is like, I feel that creators and the creative person's mindset has been instilled since, since they were born. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
was a person who was creating the toys that I wanted to play with as a kid growing up. I didn't hear that.
I said, because we were poor. We had no choice, bro. We had like a
That's
stick
true.
with a little ball on it, and that was G.I. Joe. you know?
Man, me, I actually like. I remember when Robin Hood, with
Oh my God. The bow
what's
and
his
arrow?
name? Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. When
Yes.
that movie
Oh,
came out, I watched that so many times that I went to the backyard and I would like take, tree branches and I would tie strings to them and cut and make my own arrows. And then the next thing you know, I'm in the backyard jumping around shooting arrows that I made from a whole kit that I made myself. So
yep.
what
Yep.
was like the thing that you loved to do as a kid, kind of like that, that was kind of like the thing that made you a creative that we see today?
It's funny you say it because now you just made me think of a whole bunch of crazy stuff I did as kids. But, for us, it was building spaceships out of cardboard boxes, crafting the lemonade stand, the quintessential Charlie Brown lemonade stand, which we saw in Charlie Brown, we saw in Little Rascals. And then so, going and making that. So my grandpa and my dad both were car oriented. So we had tools. And I lived under the car on a creeper from the time I was probably like a year and a half. So there
So
was a
cool.
time when I'm like 2.5, 3 years old, where my dad or my grandpa can say, hand me a 9/16 and I can hand him a 9/16. I didn't know how to read or knew whatever, but I knew what was what. I knew what patterns were patterns. I've heard like they would say, okay, see this right here, this is a 9/16. And then if you look at, I think it's really weird because I used to wonder how I did this. Now that I'm old enough, I fully understand how it happens. If you got that box, right, and it has the 20 ratchets in there, then there's the handle. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over is the 9/16, right? I think when they would point to me and be like, "Oh, this right here is a 9/16," so you're just going to put I was grabbing the right one because it's in the right slot. And people, what I mean, to this day, put the damn tool back when you're done with it. It's in the right spot. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Not a big fan of throwing my tools all over the place. And so I think being from that age, being underneath the car, watching my people fix stuff, watching my dad and my grandpa and my uncles, like people in the neighborhood have to make do. I learned things like making the modern day scooter that we have. We used to use two 2x4s and roller skates that you separate the middle and then bolt them suckers to the end and then put a stick going this way so you can make the scooters. So we used to make those scooters out of like roller skates. And now you buy one with a lithium ion battery and a motor. And it's like, wow, but we have been crafting those from way back, Cub Scout racers. And I do want to say something that you mentioned, and I don't think enough people grab this thought. Every human being on the planet is a creator. Some of us create stuff that we share with the world, and some of us create problems and excuses, but you're still a creator. It's just whether you're using your creativity, that's a real word, whether you're using your creativity to do something beneficial or whether you're using your creativity to do something destructive. But everybody's a creator.
That's quotable right there. We should put that on a shirt.
Trust me, I created my day. I did a lot of creative destruction too. You put in the M80 inside of a Apple.
I tried to stay away from that, but I'm glad that I didn't grow up in today's day and age because there's cameras everywhere. I'm
Thank you.
glad to
Yeah,
I'm glad to know that I exactly. I'm glad to know that I lived in an era where not everything that I did as a youngster was recorded,
bro.
right?
We
Because
can always be
wow.
like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
Not me. I wasn't there.
exactly.
Yo, we
Oh
won't even
man.
discuss how many days I spent in confession.
Oh, that wasn't something that I did as a youngster, but um all right, so seeming that we're just hanging out, like that's such a cool thing. I guess I don't know where to go right now with the next question, right? Because we're just chilling. So, but I was still wondering, like, what else did you do as like a youngster? Like, what was another? I
The
guess.
part everything. I mean, literally, that was what I did. So I think learning that early on with my grandpa and my dad being underneath the car and being around tools, I took apart everything. So that was my curiosity spark. And it's funny, parents squish their kids' curiosity sparks all the time and they don't realize it. And my folks did the same, right? There is a time where every kid becomes the why kid. Why? Why? And if you're really, really a heavily why kid, eventually they start telling you to be quiet, don't ask questions, blah, blah, blah. Luckily, me and Rules aren't very friendly with each other because I would just take the ass whooping and come right back. Why? Why? What was that for? And then like, oh, so the belt left these kind of marks on my leg. Why did it do that? Like, man, you just got a butt whipping for asking questions. Why are you asking questions? Just never stopped. I think that I won't say curiosity is natural either. Everybody has a curiosity. You can tell when you watch babies. They're curious, but we scare it out of people. We take it away. And I don't know how or why. I can't even tell you the moment that made me remember that I enjoyed being curious, but I stay curious to this very day. I'll get something brand new and take it apart to see what it is, or figure it out, or watch
You know,
videos where other people take it apart.
that's actually very true. That's a story that I can share right now, which is I remember as a youngster, I got a Walkman, Sony Walkman for Christmas, right? The yellow one with the little clip, you understand, to
Yeah.
make it like waterproof. It was just like amazing, and I could just imagine how hard it was for my parents to get that for me. But my curiosity kicked in, and by the afternoon, I had the entire Walkman disassembled on my bed. Like I'm talking about, because I just needed to know how the insides worked, right? And my father walked in on me in the middle of this and he lost it. You understand? Because he was just like, I just got you this, and he sees it completely broken and destroyed. Yet a half an hour later, I had it completely reconstructed, listening to my favorite tapes, because I just needed to know how it worked on the inside. And I guess that's a curiosity that I've always had myself.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I got a toolkit, my own toolkit. I think I was maybe like 9 or 10 years old, and everybody goes to church, and I play sick because I wanted to play with my toolkit. So as soon as everybody leave the house, I got my little toolkit. I go downstairs, I disconnect the TV. I took that sucker apart, took the back off, because I always wanted to know about them glowing lights inside the TV. What the heck is them glowing lights? And how come those lights in the back glow and then the people in the front, right? So I took the whole TV apart. First of all, hindsight being 2020, messing
That's
around in the back of a
dangerous.
CRT is extremely dangerous. But
Yes,
you know
right?
what it is. You know, kid, I've actually seen a CRT implode when I was repairing computers. But anyway, had the whole thing taken apart. And then everybody get back from church. Grandpa comes in, take off the hat, sit on the couch, grab his little slits. You know, dad pops in. Everybody ready to watch the Giants versus the Redskins. And they're like, the boy done took apart the whole TV. And I'm like, yeah, look. And they're like, man, I tell you what, kickoff is in 25 minutes. You got 25 minutes to put that whole damn TV back together, or I would beat the black off you. And not only did I put it back together, but my grandpa, you know, he told my dad's name was Winston, and my grandpa used to call him Wink. He's like, Wink, I swear, I swear for God, that picture's better than it was before. My dad was like, yeah, I don't know what that boy did, but the TV good. So my grandpa would brag to his friends, and they're like, "Oh, you got something broken? Just bring it over there and let the boy at it." Like, and so I went to fixing like little radios or, you know, getting into remote control cars, like all these kind of weird stuff. But it all started with taking apart the TV that I had no business taking apart, you know. And it would be like, remember the cake batter thing where you put the two spikes in it and you brrr, like that
Hmm.
thing stopped working. Mom's like, here you go. I just take it apart. I figure it out. Like, oh, these windings aren't correct. So I go to the Radio Shack and I'm like, yo, this thing right here is not supposed to be like busted out like this or whatever. And he goes, oh, yeah, that's a capacitor. Like when it explodes, this happens. This is the exact same one. Just put it back and solder it in. All right, cool. Close something up, give it back to Mom's. Do it work? Yeah, it works. All right, cool. Hey,
Oh,
I
oh.
don't know how to work Siri though. Be quiet, Siri. So yeah, it was just weird as a little kid. Like I really got into that, and then they figured it out and they fostered it because when computers came out, I remember my dad like gambled this whole nut on I'm gonna get this dude a computer, and so I had a
That's
Coco, a,
cool.
a Tandy with the little cassette deck, load 10 basic, you know, like it was crazy, but like my dad just he fostered the fact that I like taking stuff apart, and they would just give me all kind of old stuff to take apart. So they bought a new one, here you can have an old one, take it apart, see what I figure it out. So yeah, I think I'm about the same way.
My
It's
mom
kind of
used to do that to me as well, but it was basically like she would give me an opportunity, right? Like if something were to break before
yeah,
purchasing something new, it'd be like, this broke, let's see what you can do with it. And that taught me how to like reverse engineer. So I
yep,
ended up fixing VCRs and a variety of different tech, which then I think is what sparked me into, you know, cameras and photography, right? And videos and
yep.
everything that we do today. So I guess to touch a
That's
little bit
trippy,
more
right?
on
You
that.
go from the whole hood. No, if you got a tape stuck in the VCR, just stop messing with it. Bring it to my house. I would take it out, give it back. And then when all the old people started getting CD players and whatnot, and they're like, "Oh, my CD is skipping." They used to bring it to me. I had that little, you know, that little cleaner. And you put the one drop, and
Yeah, with the little
then
brushes.
yeah, with a little brush, and you
Oh
give it
my
back,
God.
and you're like, "Oh, it's clean now. It'll work," you know, because people was putting it in their coat pocket, and then the dust from your gloves get in there, and it would stop. And back then, it would stop the CD from reading. So they just bring it to my house. I had the whole little setup. I used to clean it, you know, or he would bring me their needles, and I would clean their needles and give them back. So yeah, it's funny. Like I never really thought about it, but all the way down to like fixing my uncle's guitar amps. Just yeah, I was just that kid. I just loved to be up in some stuff. And to this day, I got all these tools for nothing. Now everything works. Now everything is semi disposable. I do kind of miss the tinkering side of it. Yeah. So I've been really contemplating buying a 3D printer again, which I
Yeah.
told myself after I got rid of the last one I wouldn't do again. Yo, I printed constantly. I was just making dumb stuff for no reason.
Oh, that's one thing that I'm so interested in, and I consume a lot of that content as well. But I don't have the space and the facilities right now, especially like me understanding that a lot of the fumes and things like that are
Yeah, yeah, you know.
toxic. And being in a studios type of environment, like it's all together. So there's no compartmental implementation of those scents or anything like that. So I wouldn't be able to do it, but definitely interested because I've always been like that. I there was a point in my life where my relatives would not buy me any other type of gift, either for my birthday, Christmas, or anything that was not Lego, because it was just to add to the collection, because it was all that I would do in building stuff, and like whichever toy that I wanted, I would make.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I think too, um, joining AV club at school. So whenever there's going to be a film, I got to bring the projector and set it up, bring the VCR and set it up, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because it's funny now because everybody would be like, "Oh man, I don't know how to do this stuff." I'm like, bro, at that time it was the one yellow wire. It was the composite wire.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had like extra time before class and after class to go set up the TV VCR, but nobody else would touch it. It was legit one composite wire, bro. You just like connect it and then have it to the speakers. But you were rolling down the hallway with that cart, and people used to be mad. How come he get out of class early? Oh, because he's on AV team. He got to go set up for the assembly.
Absolutely.
We would set up in like 2 minutes, spend the rest of the time in assembly goofing off, be like, "Hey, Teresa, man, what you finna do after school?"
Man, that's the whole thing. AV was something that I started from young. Like, I started in the morning announcements in elementary school. So it
Oh,
was
I love
throughout
that. That was so much
all
fun.
my education that I was always in the AV side. And that was another thing that just adhered me to tech. Right. So I was always in the tech verse and the camera and audio visual space. And it's it's very fortunate that I'm one of the few people that get to work and do something that they actually like went to school for, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a lot
Bro,
of fun.
you know it's funny. You just made me think of something that cracks me up. So in beginning high school, and I'm doing the morning, the little internal station. We had an internal TV station at school. And back then we had the big recorders that were like, 1 inch tape type of stuff. But we used to come over the thing. And so what did they call it back then? Closed circuit TV. Like you turn all the TVs to channel 3 and you had
Hmm.
a broadcaster that would
CCTV,
basically, yeah, it would send the signal to all of the individual TVs, right? So I would always sort of welcome, good morning, welcome to the Huskies news. And remember, watch out where the Huskies go. And you can hear the whole school in their classroom. Never eat yellow snow. Oh, so me and my partner, we would be on the thing and like, and welcome to the morning news. Watch out where the Huskies go. And just to hear that reverberate through an entire school, everybody would do the answer back. Oh my God, there's so many memories. That's so many
right?
memories.
But you see, and that goes to show you that having so much fun doing that is what leads you into your career being behind the microphone as a DJ, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
and it
funny. I
just
completely forgot about that. But that is pretty funny, right? When you get it. And then the school was like, y'all can't say that. Well, too late now. It's part of the thing. You would hear that football games, basketball games, like when we would win, we would always say that. And then people would be so mad at us. Cause back then, now it's so normal. Nobody would think that joke is dirty. Back in the day, that was a dirty joke.
that wasn't a dirty joke. I think that's like a life lesson. Like, you need to
It is.
know that. You need to know that, or you will find out very abruptly.
Well, also now I think the pollution is so bad. Kids don't eat snow no more. But we were kids, we used to make ice cream out of snow. So
Hmm.
that's just funny. Oh my God, my cheeks hurt thinking about that, bro. That was funny days, bro. Just
All right.
looking for little stories and like, today in Woodshop class, we're going to ask Mr. Wicker what is the best way to make your soapbox derbies for Boy Scouts. And he had the glasses with the tape and the lumberjack shirt. And my woodshop teacher looked just like the dude on the paper towels. The brawny, Mr. Wicker looks exactly like him.
Oh,
So we used to
wow.
call him paper towel man.
Are you still using the same old black boring mic cover? It's time for an upgrade. Introducing Doc Pops, the microphone covers that don't just improve your sound, they make a statement. Designed for podcasters, streamers, musicians, and content creators, Doc Pops reduces plosives, cuts down on background noises, and protects your microphone from dust and moisture, all while looking amazing on camera. With a variety of colors to match your style, your microphone will finally stand out as much as your content. Perfect for top mics like the Shure SM7B, MV7, Rode Pod mic, and many more. So make your mic pop with Doc Pops. Better sound, better look, bigger impact. Doc Pops, where sound meets style. Is that velvet?
Or even all the way up to yearbook club as a senior. I think that's what got me super locked into cameras, running around the school with the Pentax K1000 in the developer room and doing things I can't repeat on YouTube in the developer room.
Mm-hmm.
The smell of them chemicals, we talk to Gretchen all the time, right? The smell of the fixer and the photo flow, like all those chemicals, or putting the film in your hands in the thing, and you got to basically transfer the film to all of that stuff. Like no one does that now. A handful of people, but that stuff was just gold,
but
man.
Not even in the same manner, because now they have different types of jars and things like that. So it's not the traditional where you had to go in blind because you weren't seeing. You just had to go by feel and go okay, and this is that, and and that's a tactile experience that even with the forms of doing film today is not the same.
Not the same. Bro, definitely ruined some rolls of film in my day.
Yeah, but those are all lessons because we learn from our mistakes a lot more than our successes, right?
Do they still have drafting class?
I don't know.
Remember, all the boys
so much stuff,
and
bro.
girls who went to drafting, we all had the same kind of writing. So after a while, the teacher couldn't tell whose paper was who because we all learned how to do perfect letters because of drafting. I still write like that to this day. I still hook my 9s and extra curl my 6s and do the line / bomb for the 3. Instead of a 2 bump 3, I do the so crazy, bro.
Yeah, but you were saying about the photography, I remember journalism class, right? Basically doing the same thing in a form of trying to make a newspaper article and having the documentation and taking, documentary style film, right? Or photography where you were trying to get everything in a shot and not have any editing done whatsoever because it was supposed to be factual as it was, and how that spawned my love towards cameras and things like that. All those experiences in school were just so much fun. But
it's true.
With that being said, right? What camera has your attention right now, if any, right? Or what piece of gear, equipment has the most attention from Doc Rock right now?
Osmo Pocket 3 and my Fujifilm X100VI. Those two. So it's really weird. The Osmo Pocket 3, because it makes me want to go shoot. Same with the Fuji. I'm can't wait to be done so I can go out and shoot. And it's weird because we spent so much time getting studio ready, building all these things for our studios and whatever. And I was like, man, I miss photography. And so I bought that little Ricoh, and I did a couple of trips where I'm just taking pictures for the sake of taking pictures and not trying to find some Instagram banger, but just enjoying my, taking pictures. And I remember how much I love street. I love street. Even when I don't have a camera in my hand, we sit around and just watch people and comment on people or whatever. So I remember if you were with us, we were in Portsmouth, and we were walking around, and the dude was on the corner playing the bagpipes. And we just had to stop and just check homie out. And it's yo, that reminded me that I missed street photography. Was just catching a homie standing on the middle of the street in the middle of Portsmouth playing the bagpipes because I was like, you know what? Yeah, I took a picture with my phone, but you know, you got to stop. You got to get your phone out. You got to unlock it. You got to do all these other things. And it loses the moment. Now, here's the other part, which is really weird about the modern day. When you pull out the phone and take the picture, people stop and get better because they know that the phone is.
Yeah.
When you pull out this to get the picture, they just assume this is an old camera, so they don't have the same quality, and nobody pays it any attention.
They ignore
Okay,
it.
they ignore it, which is exactly the opposite. So when I was walking through Portsmouth this time, Caleb and I were there a couple months ago. I'm walking around with the X106 on, and I'm taking pictures. I got stopped by like 10 people. Oh man, is that like an old rangefinder camera, old Vivitar? I'm like, nah, it's a 1 week old Fuji. And they're like, what? That's digital? Yeah. Or is that film? Nah, man, it's digital. It has an SD card. And they're like, what? So people had me like stopping and showing them the film, the look. And then they would say, well, that looks like film. I go, yeah. He goes, you mean you can get digital cameras that look like old school? Yeah. And they're like, oh, this is great. Because the people that stopped, you could tell they're in photography. Everybody else, they just look, why did dude walk around with an old ass camera in his hand? And so you can get those real human shots. And I just love that. But I can't pull that off with my Sony. It looks like a modern camera and it's dope. And it takes fantastic pictures, but people will adjust accordingly. If you pull out your phone, they definitely adjust accordingly. Now pull out your phone, stop filming me. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no filming here.
Exactly, right? Are you filming? I'm like, no, but I'm recording.
No, I'm recording. Uh-huh. Well, how did I leave? Uh-huh.
Where's the spoon? Some people listening to this will know, and if you do know where it's from, leave it in the comments below.
There you go. You are a YouTuber now.
But that is so true because I love photography, camera junkie. And the thing about it is that most of my photography right now is for me personally, right? Yep. And I have to agree with you. Like if I'm doing work for someone else and I have to produce content, I'm actually going to go with like clinical, like how they say, surgical type of precision, the scalpel, which is my Sony setup, because I'm going to get everything that I need and I'll be able to do everything that I want in post-production. But a lot of photos that I take is here in the house of me and Aiden, and those photos are just for me. And at that point, I'm not pulling out my iPhone, right? I'm pulling out my favorite photography cameras, and I'm usually bouncing back between my Fuji, right? My X-T1 and my my Sony, the N. Oh my God, I forgot the name of it, but it's the N5.
Oh, the NX5?
Yeah, the NX5.
NEX5.
The NEX5. Look, I don't even look at the name, right? I just grab it and go because I always just have like an old style, like vintage lens, and I'm just using it as a point and shoot to capture my favorite images in the moment of Aiden. And because it's always there at the ready, boom, I just snap all those photos that are memories for me.
Yep, it's that thing, man. It's something about just having that in the moment, take a picture for yourself. The stress is off, the burden is off, the competition is off. You're just enjoying shots. And that's my sort of undown and rewind time. But it also, man, it's almost cliche, this Marie Kondo. It brings joy, bro. It legit brings joy. So I just love doing that. I love catching a shot of somebody enjoying their day through the window. I love sort of just timeless reactions. I used to go travel and take pictures of the scenery and stuff. Now I travel, I'm looking for interesting people to take pictures of. there's a million pictures on the internet of Kinkakuji. That's the gold temple in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
There's less pictures on the internet of the person who works to keep the temple looking that dope, or the look of straight amazement when someone sees the golden pavilion in first time in real life. That joint is legit gold, and their face is like, you know. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for that kind of stuff now. I'm looking for that genuine reactions. Yeah, I'll still take, images of the place to remind myself where I am, but it's something about catching people en vivo.
Yep. Now, one thing that I do, which is a tip for everyone listening, is that I always carry my camera with me when I go to drive anywhere. And instead of having my hand on my shifter, I have it on my camera's shutter button. And I just have it literally like at the ready, because I capture a lot of the shots like on my transit, you know, to and fro and in between. And the reason why I bring that up is because one of my favorite shots that is like for me is this black and white shot that I took of just a person on the side of the road selling fruit, you know? And they were just there between the traffic in Miami, and it was just this snapshot and moment in time. And every time that I look at that image, it moves me in a certain way. So, it's not something that I've ever shared, but I'm sharing the information now with the podcast listeners. So, yeah, that's where I find the beauty in photography and in creation is really what you do for you.
It's funny, man. You think about it, like catching someone just having a conversation and none of them even see you. No one's paying attention. No one's posing for the camera. And they just see you, they just in their own world. And you happen to get a picture of them in action, sort of enjoying that one moment in time, that space, right? Yeah, that's dope, man. When I think about it, that's dope. Just
So now, do you have any tips for the listeners out there to kind of level up their own photography?
yeah, go take some pictures, bro. I know it sounds cliche and I know it sounds
Mm-hmm.
crazy, but go and find interesting gems in your own neighborhood. The biggest lie that I used to tell myself is I gotta go somewhere dope in order to get the kind of pictures that I see these cats on the internet taking.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds weird to say it out loud, but I was like, oh man, in order to get that exact shot, I need to go to Japan. And if I'm not there, I'm never gonna be able to pull a shot like that. I'm like, legit, go in your own neighborhood, find the historical pieces, find the things that make your hood your hood. It used to be talking about the hood, you were talking about somewhere bad. And it was like, but no, man, that's where you live, man. That's where your neighbors are. That's where your friends are. That's where you grew up. That's where your
Mm-hmm.
youngins is fitting to grow up. So you need to learn to love where you be as much as where you want to be. And it takes me back to an old Martin Lawrence saying, hey man, where you gonna be? I'm gonna be where I'm at. you know?
Mm-hmm.
So don't it's funny, but it's not. Like maybe you need to be where you at for a second. Maybe you need to go outside, you know, pop nephew in the stroller, walk around the neighborhood and find those shots, those angles, people enjoying themselves, people in deep thought, something that you never even noticed because you gotten so used to being there, you forgot. What did you forget? Go be a tourist in your own town. Put it that way. And that's easy to say. I live in tourist town, but
Mm-hmm.
go be a tourist in your own town.
No, but I have to agree with that. Now, for those listeners who don't know, Doc lives on a humble little island in Hawaii over there, right? So,
Yeah,
it's
a
easy to
little
say
crash
to
shack
him
in
to
the
say, like,
Pacific Ocean.
people fly from all over the world to take pictures where you're at right now. Go
Yes.
outside, right?
Yeah.
But the way that I see it is that even if you think that your location is not a tourist attraction, right? Your town, your city, your hood is constantly changing. Like, I wish I had more photos of the way my neighborhood was when I was growing up, comparative to seeing all the infrastructure and so much change that has happened. Because the South Florida that I live in today is nothing to what it was when I was growing up. And I got to experience a really cool era, right? Like saying like I was able to experience rotary phones, and now we're up to the point where we have, artificial intelligence, and I was able to see it all in a relative like cognitive way, you know what I'm saying, where I was able to experience and have memories of all that. So where we're headed to the future is like it's anyone's guess, so to speak. So it's super interesting the times that we live in today.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And we take it for granted and then we complain about it. And I'm like, nah, man, we are living in some of the best times ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to listen to that signal to noise ratio is what I like to call it. It's easy to listen to all of the noise and completely miss the signal, you know. And the signal is life moves on, bro. With or without you, not to quote you too, but with or without you, life moves on. So uh why not just take a chance to enjoy it? And I hate to quote Drake right now because I'm Team Kendrick, but um everybody dies, but not everybody lives.
Mm-hmm.
That's big, bro. That is big. And if you get caught up in all the BS that's going on right now, and let that stop you from smiling or having fun or figuring it out, they got you. They got you. I don't even know who that they is in this sentence, and I'm always mad at
Mm-hmm.
the disambiguous gay they. But yeah, this particular case, they got you. Like, man, listen, I've been in Japan in the middle of an earthquake. The next day, I'm outside having fun.
Mm-hmm.
The earthquake lasted only a couple of minutes, and you just clean up what you got to clean up and go back to what you're doing. We was in school. What we supposed to do? Sit around and cry about an earthquake? Nah, man, we got to finish
Mm-hmm.
school. So it's funny if you look at kids, the way they do it. Kids are normally over something within a couple of minutes. They right back at it. And somebody told us to stop being a kid sometimes. So I just try to be a big ass kid. Short term memory. Everything is about having fun. Everything is about doing the right thing and staying on purpose. And you can't stay on purpose if I'm worried about what somebody else is finna do to the next thing. So yeah, it's weird. It's a weird spot to be in, but that's what it is.
I don't know how it is with everyone else, but I could honestly say that in my own experience, I've also seen just as much laughter as I've seen tears in the
Yes.
funerals that I've attended. So
Yes. I think that's our
that's
culture, bro. Our culture, we party at the funeral. Never mind crying all day. Because the person who's in the box don't want you to cry.
mm-hmm.
You
Exactly.
know?
Now we cry because we miss them, but
Yep.
like you said, life goes on, right? And
My dad told me that the crying is selfish. You worrying about how you feel. You're not worried
mm-hmm.
about how they feel. How
Exactly.
their chance to get away from it all or to be somewhere else or to hit
And
their second thing.
yeah,
And then he also said that he was going to make good fertilizer. So I don't know what to leave.
Hey, but Doc, we did it, bro. We did the first episode of C.I.T.Y.S.G.A.W, which is
Yes.
channels that I think you should go and watch. So, obviously, if you haven't done so already, please be sure to make your way to Mr. Doc Rock so that you can find all of his content. But now, I'm guessing that this is going to be my last question for everyone, every guest that I have from here on out, right? Which is, what's your C.I.T.Y.S.G.A.W? What's your channel that you think everyone should go and watch, or what is a channel that has had the most influence on you lately?
This is going to sound super crazy
Mhm.
because a
N-
dear
I-
friend of mine,
okay,
but
go ahead.
I have enjoyed watching her grow in the last couple of months. And part of it is, slightly because of me, but most of it is her. And I just enjoyed being there and watching it happen. And that's Mary Lou Mandel. She was dope without me. Trust me, she didn't need me, but
Mhm.
she told me she was curious about learning some audio stuff. So I fired the bug in her about audio, and she has been on a mission. Let me tell you, she's been on a mission to get good at audio, and it's a needed thing. I didn't realize. I always knew that tech in general was kind of a very male dominated industry, and then to some extent, so is content creating. Um, but having experience of taking her and Eden and Kat to NAB and having my eyes open to what it looks like from the female perspective of this industry, but also to watch them just be like little kids in the candy store, and that, they say from the mouth of babes, and not the in the female vernacular, but in the younger
Mhm.
like person's vernacular. Man, it was such a blessing. Like, it was such a blessing to sit back and just watch their high level of curiosity and like coming from a position of not knowing, because it helps humble me to help me realize what people I think know that I think everybody knows, and turns out they don't. And then once they get the explanation, oh, now they respect the game. So yeah, I probably said that all kinds of ways are wrong, but got to go check her out because she's doing amazing stuff, and I'm just enjoying watching it.
Oh, Doc, thanks again for hanging out. We're just going to close it out here. And for everyone listening, make sure that you do all of the podcast things, like, subscribe, give us a 5-star thumb up, and if you have any questions, please be sure to leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts on what we're doing here. So once again, thank you, Doc, for hanging out, and we'll see everyone next time. Talk to you.